In modern-day Japan resides Souma, a clever and compassionate young man who shares a home with his grandfather. What distinguishes him from his peers is his pragmatic approach to planning. Devoting considerable time to preparing for the civil service examination, Souma can often be found engrossed in his studies, either at the library or in the company of his grandfather. One day, as he reached for a book in the library, an unexpected bright light enveloped him, leaving him visibly perplexed. Before he could react, he found himself transported to an entirely unfamiliar realm, plummeting from the sky. Fearing a fatal fall, he is astounded when he lands softly, escaping unscathed. Shaking off the initial dizziness, Souma discovers himself surrounded by hooded figures who scrutinize him with keen interest. Though a bit frightened, he summons courage and pretends to be in control of the situation as the hooded figures guide him to what appears to be a makeshift courtroom. As he scans the surroundings, he notices individuals adorned in outdated uniforms, some of whom appear to be a peculiar amalgamation of animals and humans. The king, previously seated on the throne, rises to extend a warm welcome, hailing Souma as the hero, a title that bewilders him. Expressing gratitude for responding to their summons, the king unwittingly sparks Souma's ire. Souma resents the implication that he willingly answered a call. Rather, he feels forcibly displaced without consent. The king, sensing Souma's displeasure, urges him not to harbor anger, assuring an explanation. Elaborating, the king unveils a fantastical realm, teeming with witches, wizards, dwarves, elves, knights, and dragons. Notably, a rift in the northern part of their continent has unleashed a relentless horde of demons. In response, neighboring kingdoms joined forces to combat this demonic onslaught. Despite their concerted efforts, the demons prove insurmountable, incessantly replenishing their ranks, posing an unprecedented threat to the entire realm. Regrettably, their realm lacks an inexhaustible workforce, making it impractical to sustain the ongoing struggle of a seemingly futile battle. Souma gazes at the king, expressing his unwillingness to confront the demonic forces. Observing the king's discomfort, a minister steps forward, elucidating that the formidable Chaos Empire, the most powerful among them, persistently demands financial assistance. A dire ultimatum of war accompanies the Empire's threats if monetary support is withheld. Seeking clarification, Souma questions the minister's involvement. Sheepishly, the minister admits to their decision to summon a hero, intending to offer the hero to the Empire as a means of avoiding monetary obligations, given their financial constraints. Addressing the king, Souma pledges to extricate them from this predicament, declaring himself as the chosen hero destined to lead their kingdom through a revolutionary transformation. Despite the shock that ripples through the assembly, Souma assures the king that he will scrutinize the financial records, rectifying the situation to ensure the kingdom's financial stability and prevent its collapse under the burden of its own limitations. For an uninterrupted span of 3 days and nights, they delved into exhaustive discussions regarding the kingdom's finances. Eventually, he managed to devise a solution. The ensuing day witnessed their assembly before a vast audience, where Souma, visibly fatigued and on the brink of sleep, stood alongside the king. In a surprising turn of events, the king proclaimed that Souma, in his judgment, was more suitable to govern the realm. Thus, he declared the immediate transfer of kingship to Souma, leaving everyone, especially Souma herself, astounded by the unexpected revelation. To fortify his decision, the king proudly announced his intention to strengthen Souma's claim to the throne by arranging a marriage between Souma and his only daughter, Liz. This revelation drastically altered Souma's life within moments, burdening him with the responsibility of transforming the lives of the kingdom's subjects. Seated in his chambers, Souma immersed himself in an avalanche of paperwork, tirelessly working without respite or sleep due to the overwhelming workload. In the midst of his labor, the door creaked open and a striking young woman clad in military attire stormed in without uttering a word. Souma, engulfed in exhaustion, remains absorbed in his work, scarcely lifting his gaze to inquire if Liz possesses knowledge in reading and writing. This unexpected question catches Liz off guard, prompting a fervent response about her extensive learning. Stepping closer, Liz declares herself as the daughter of the former king, prompting Souma to finally divert his attention from his paperwork. He reveals his intention to stay in the kingdom for 2 or 3 years, aiming to aid its financial recovery and stability. Gradually, Souma acquaints himself with the intricacies of this realm, embarking on an extensive tour that unveils hidden facets, previously unknown to him. During his exploration, he encounters a peculiar statue guarded by a priest who encourages him to place his hand upon it, claiming that any magical affinity would be immediately apparent. Souma complies, and in that moment, he finds himself losing touch with reality, surrounded by bright lights against a dark backdrop. Though momentarily bewildered, he quickly dismisses any association with hallucinogens, realizing that this mystical experience is the result of magic at play. Upon regaining consciousness, the priest reveals to him his latent magical abilities and encourages him to hone his skills through practice. They embark on an unexpectedly romantic journey, culminating near a vast white-covered field. Stepping off their ride, Souma walks beside Liz, unveiling the expanses of cotton fields that saturate their nation, deeming them nearly worthless. Returning to the dining hall, they share breakfast. The entrance of a man named Ark, the leader of the guards, prompts a sit-down conversation. Souma candidly expresses the scarcity of valuable individuals in their country, lamenting the lack of competence among the populace. Acknowledging the dire need for skilled manpower, Souma requests assistance. Ark, bowing respectfully, assures him that he will explore potential solutions before taking his leave. Following this encounter, Souma and Liz engage in a tea session. During their conversation, Souma, struck by inspiration, queries Liz about the existence of any broadcasting devices in their possession. Liz, utterly baffled by the man's conversation, prompts him to elaborate on the specific device he's referring to. In response, the man clarifies, and suddenly, Liz excitedly reveals they possess a similar device for public announcements. Realizing the potential alignment with Souma's plan, he urges Liz to guide him to the device promptly. Souma briefs her about his intention to assemble a workforce from the general public. The following day, positioned before the broadcast apparatus with Liz, Souma addresses the entire kingdom through the airwaves. Speaking to his subjects, he unveils an extraordinary opportunity to transform their lives. Capturing their attention, he announces an open round for individuals with exceptional aptitude, specialization, or any valuable skills. As anticipation builds, the day arrives, and the courtyard becomes the gathering place to witness the king's direct selection. Souma, seated on his throne with Liz by his side, oversees the process. To his observation, only 5 individuals step forward to nominate themselves for the selection examination. They all lower themselves in deference before him. Upon Ark's introduction of the king, a unanimous bow ensues, with the exception of Aisha, a tall, dark-skinned girl identifying herself as a warrior elf from a non-bowing clan. She asserts that her people only bow to those they've pledged their lives to. Swiftly employing his unique magical abilities, Souma remotely gathers information about these elves, discovering their renowned and feared reputation for combat prowess. Aisha approaches Souma, seeking his assistance. Taken aback, Souma learns from the elf that the Blessed Forest, their home, is rapidly deteriorating. Realizing the urgency, Souma explains the modern nature of these concerns. In response, Aisha requests Souma's acceptance as her bodyguard and implores him to aid in restoring the forest. Souma graciously agrees, dismissing the others momentarily. However, his attention is redirected to the throne room as a guard informs him of the Prime Minister's insistence on an audience. Souma proceeds to the courtroom, where he encounters Kaz and the Prime Minister's emissary bowing in his presence. He encourages them to rise and express their opinions. In response, the Prime Minister expresses his belief in emulating the former king's example by stepping down from his position. He advocates giving new talent an opportunity to shine, addressing challenges with innovative approaches rather than adhering to outdated methods that have proven ineffective. The unexpected resignation surprises Tiesuke Souma, who inquires about the successor. The Prime Minister reassures him, stating that he has mentored Kaz, who is prepared to assume the role and bring about positive changes. Accepting the resignation, Souma appoints Kaz as the new Prime Minister. Expressing gratitude, Kaz looks to Souma and advises him to take a well-deserved day off after relentless work. Following this counsel, Souma decides to spend the day with Liz, escorted by Aisha. Liz is initially taken aback by Souma's decision to take time off and expresses concern about his well-being. Souma reassures her that everything is fine, and he simply desires an evening of relaxation. Liz advises against going out in public as the king and queen, proposing an alternative plan. She produces military school uniforms, dons one herself, and hands the rest to him. With Aisha as their security, they venture into the city several days later. Upon completing the majority of the paperwork, Souma's dark magic is employed to handle the remaining tasks, eliminating the need for additional manpower. A meeting is convened with the dedicated individuals who have tirelessly managed the paperwork throughout. In a heartfelt address, he acknowledges their invaluable contribution, crediting them as the true treasures of the kingdom. Expressing gratitude for their efforts, he announces a week-long break as a token of appreciation. While financial constraints prevent extra pay, he invites them to indulge in the royal wine cellar, stocked with exquisite vintage wines, as a gesture of recognition for their exceptional work. He informs them that they each have the opportunity to claim an entire bottle for themselves, with the freedom to decide whether to sell or consume it. The group of men expresses their gratitude, thanking Souma for his generosity, and eagerly heads towards the wine cellar. Liz inquires about the wisdom of granting them a week off, considering the pending tasks. Souma reassures her, suggesting a moment of relaxation as the work is progressing well. He shares his plan to establish a port in a village, emphasizing its strategic significance for trade within the kingdom. This initiative aims to transform the village into a bustling trading town, providing employment opportunities. Souma proposes imposing taxes and tolls on ships from other countries, curbing illegal trade. Additionally, he plans to levy low taxes on ships trading essential food crops, addressing the issue of food shortages in the country. Souma elaborates on the economic principles of supply and demand, highlighting the current high demand for food crops and the need to address the supply deficit. The following day, Souma, Liz, and Aisha venture to the small village designated for construction. Upon arrival, they find Ark, who has already erected tents for everyone. Souma receives a warm welcome from Ark, who, in response to inquiries about construction issues, shares unsettling news. Many village elders vehemently oppose the idea of building a port along the village shoreline. Ark elaborates, revealing that the elders fear an ancient legend prophesying calamity, specifically the water gods unleashing a colossal, water-formed monster to engulf and annihilate the entire region. Intrigued, Souma expresses a desire to meet with the elders and gain insight. Accompanied by Ark, Souma is led to one of the houses where he engages in a conversation with an elder. The elder sternly advises against constructing the port, emphasizing the foretold wrath of the water gods. When Souma inquires about the origin of this belief and its manifestations, the elder recounts a tale passed down through generations. According to the legend, the catastrophic event occurred during the elder's grandfather's era. Preceding the sea monster's arrival, the ground quivered with each monstrous step, forewarning the impending disaster. The sea monster, emerging from the depths, proceeded to engulf everything in its path, leaving devastation in its wake. A haunting memory etched in the villagers' collective consciousness. Contemplating the matter at hand, Souma eventually decides to conclude the day's proceedings and makes his way back to his castle. Summoning Kaz and Ark to his chambers, they delve into a discussion about the current predicament. Kaz gazes at Souma and inquires about his belief in the myth. Souma clarifies that he doesn't subscribe to the notion of a sea monster, but rather holds the belief that myths often contain a kernel of truth. Expressing his resolution to relocate the construction site, he announces his intention to demarcate the entire area perceived as cursed by the villagers. This revelation leaves Kaz incredulous, prompting him to question whether Souma is apprehensive about a mythical sea god. Souma dismisses such concerns, emphasizing that his worry lies not in a sea god, but in what people mistakenly perceive as a sea monster, a tsunami. He posits that when villagers speak of the earth shaking from its footsteps, they might be misinterpreting an earthquake. Convinced that the area is particularly vulnerable to tsunamis after seismic activity, Souma opts for foresight, choosing to avoid creating a port in a location prone to disasters. Hey, fantastic viewers! Meet Souma, the hero juggling kingdom saving, drowning in paperwork, and dodging sea monsters. If you got summoned to a fantasy realm, what modern-day skill or talent would you bring to save the day? Share your answers in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe for upcoming sequels, and a dose of anime, manga, and manhwa with a little extra spice.